Welcome replay viewers, and good evening everybody, and welcome to our evening check of our purple martin colony here on the final day of July 2017, July 31st. So summer is unofficially half over. Hello Kathleen, how are you? Thanks for joining tonight. Beautiful evening again today was a warm day. Yeah, they're busy. They're coming back now from a day of flying around and foraging, and they're getting set to settle down for the night in the houses. I try to get down here in the evening at this period of time because unfortunately this is not going to last too much longer. Within 2 weeks and possibly 3 at the most of these birds will be on their way back to Brazil. Now, things are going pretty well here. The gull with the damaged wing is getting better every day. He's making longer and longer low-level flights. Look at that. The whole colony, practically the whole colony, just took off. They go out. As long as there's daylight, they'll be feeding in the air. I think sunset tonight is officially about 8:10 here on the East Coast. And we're about there right now, so obviously the sun has gone down below the western horizon. Oh, yeah, yes, the hawk attack. Yeah, there's a persistent hawk problem here. There was, again this evening, about an hour ago, I saw a sparrowhawk, or a kestrel as they're known, fly through the area, and the whole colony took off after him to chase him out of the area here. So once again, collectively, they went out to mob this hawk to chase it away. Because the hawks will grab off unsuspecting birds, especially the baby birds. This is Eastern Long Island, Kevin. Santa Mauritius. Yes, yes, it can. They usually go after the baby birds who are not really that flight savvy yet. So, you know, they're just learning to fly. So within their first 2 or 3 days of flying, the hawks will swoop in and try to grab one out of the air. Or if the bird ends up on the ground, they'll swoop in and take it off the ground. So whenever the entire colony sees a hawk overhead, they take off as a whole group and they try to chase it away. Especially the more mature parent birds will go after them. Well, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that. Yeah, I enjoy doing those also. Of course, in the summertime, obviously, on Fridays, we try to catch the cannonball, making its first stop in West Hampton. That's pretty interesting to see. Some of the other trains that I ride, I haven't been to New York in a while. Well, no, it's about a medium tide right now, Kathleen. If I turn around here, this is looking to the east. If I look to the south here, due south, see we have a quarter moon up there now, so the tide range is not as much as it would be at full moon or new moon. So it's not as high as some tides. Actually, it looks like it's on outgoing tide right now. I didn't check any tide tables today, so I'm not really sure what time high tide was, but I think it was earlier this afternoon. I did, Kathleen, and that is very sad, very tragic. I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, there were riptide warnings up all weekend. And unfortunately, if you get caught in a riptide, quite a few people, I'm not going to say everybody, but quite a few people really don't know what to do in that. And what you're supposed to do is actually just ride it out. Yes, very sad, unfortunately. But there were no lifeguards on duty, I understand. It was past 5:30, and the lifeguards leave the beach at 5:30 p.m., unfortunately. And, you know, you go to a day of enjoyment at the ocean beach for ocean bathing, and sadly that ends up. I was glad to read about the band at the bandstand there. Out of respect for this loss of life, they decided to end their concert for the evening. Why are they called Purple Martins? Well, because they have a purple sheen to them. They're North America's largest swallow. And the male mature birds, although they look black in the sunlight, you can see this purplish tinge to them. So that's how they got that name. Some people in the old days used to call them blue martins. That's a term that's common in, I've heard in New Jersey, where they refer to them as blue martins. But of course, that's not the scientific name, and don't quote me on, don't ask me for the scientific name right now because it escapes me. But largest member of the swallow family of North American swallows: purple martins, tree swallows, bank swallows, chimney swifts, birds of that nature. Birds who feed on insects out of the air, known as aerial insectivores. So they do 99.9% of their feeding is taking insects while on the fly. And of course, during the breeding season, that's what the parents do most of the day, is catching insects and bringing them back to the nesting cavities that we have here. I think we still have a few more families to fledge out of the 54 cavities that I have available this year. It's probably another 10 or so that still have baby birds inside. But they will be making their first flights within the next week. And then all of this activity will quiet down as the migration urge hits. Well, sure I am, but I guess, you know, where we are, we're only in like 70% of it, a partial eclipse. Here, right, mid-August. But we haven't even seen that in decades and decades, so I'm sure we'll be outside to, in a protected way, to try to see at least the partial eclipse here. I guess you have to be as far south as South Carolina on the East Coast. Yeah, August 21st or August 19th. We better check our dates there, or make sure about that. But you have to be several hundred miles, 800 miles south of us in order to see the total eclipse. All right, let me hold this as steady as I can here. I want to zoom in a little bit on one of the houses here. Oh yes, yeah, the August meteor showers, which are supposed to be pretty spectacular this year. I guess we're going through the tail of a comet, but there's more debris predicted this year, so That should be interesting to see, the end of August, provided we have clear skies. Missed your whole comment there, I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Yeah, August is the time to see that. If you can get to a dark area like Smith Point, they may have astronomy shows going on over there. I'm not really 100% sure. Okay, there goes the kid across the creek there with his four-wheel drive. In August you see the swan heading south. That's a sign that they're coming to the end of summer. When you look up at the Milky Way at night and you see the swan constellation flying to the south. What? Why not? I don't understand your question. Sorry. You tell people what time it is and what date it is for when the train comes in. Okay. All right, folks. It was nice and quiet out here, but this kid is going berserk across the creek here with his quad. So we'll finish up for tonight. Say goodnight to the Purple Martins. See everybody again next broadcast. Take care, folks.